What's up, guys? This is Alan, your entertainment director, coming to you this Saturday morning, actually on my way to grandson's football game. Thought we would jump on here. It's kind of a bittersweet day. Me being my love of cruising, my very first cruise I was ever on was the Carnival Ecstasy. In today's standards, relatively a small boat, but I didn't know any better at the time. Ended up having a blast. It's probably still to this day one of the best cruises I've ever had, experience-wise. We had a blast. It's with some good friends of ours that made it what it is. Just overall a great time. And it's what kind of kicked all of my love of cruising off. It was just the perfect cruise. I mean, you didn't know what to expect, so it was completely unknown. The ship was really pretty. Like I say, again, for today's standards, kind of small. But the cruise itself and the people we went with just made it an incredible experience. Just wanted to share a story with this being the Carnival Ecstasy pulling into port today on the last of its paying customer voyages. I believe the word I'm hearing is it will be in Mobile for a couple days, and then it will be heading off to Miami, and then it's on its way to the scrapyard. I did see on one of the other channels that I follow and watch also that I believe they said it will be running it aground at the scrapyard around early November, maybe the 10th to the 15th. So it looks like the hopes of it selling off to someone else to be put to use are not going to happen. So it will be hitting the scrapyard, which is kind of sad. I mean, it was, like I said again, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's what kind of kicked cruising off for me. The beautiful ocean views and everything. But there is one funny story I want to share. Before I do it, please subscribe. Hit the bell over there. You'll know when we go live with some cruise news and information for you. Share, like this video if you'd like. But again, the story I'm going to tell, it was on the Carnival Ecstasy, our first cruise. Again, it was with me and a friend's wife. That sounds bad. But anyway, I don't know where my wife was. I cannot recall. I don't think she was with us. She was on the ship, but I don't think she was with us at this time. Her being an avid shopper, she might have been shopping or doing something. I believe my friend's husband was either resting up from having had too much to drink, possibly. I don't recall that part of the story. Now, I know it was me, her, and I believe her son and maybe daughter and daughter's boyfriend at the time. Not sure exactly the scenario. I know it wasn't just me and her, but we were in one of the main pools on the Ecstasy's pool deck. And the layout that it had, the pool kind of was in the middle of the ship, but it had some, I guess, main suites. I'm guessing these were suite cabins that overlooked the pool. It had like glass windows on the outside of it that overlooked the pool and main deck. So we were sitting in the pool, and again, it was this ship was weird. I mean, there was some partying going on. There was one of the girls in the pool, I guess, was mad at her husband, boyfriend, whatever it may be. And she was actually coming on to everybody in the pool. So that usually doesn't go well. She was coming on to me, coming on to other guys, and then she was rubbing up on me, and she was quite drunk. You could tell she hadn't missed a drink yet. Her boyfriend, husband, I don't remember what he was just buying everybody drinks, and he was out of control, happy. He wasn't a mean drunk, didn't look like, but he was just having way too much fun, buying everybody drinks, shotting everything he could shot, buying shots, just having a big old time. And for some reason, his wife / girlfriend, whatever she was just mad. She was just looking for somebody to, and I'm sure it was to make him jealous. I don't really know. I'm going to say that anyway. But yeah, she was quite handsy, quite friendly, hugging, groping, hanging on everybody else, talking about what an asshole he is, and especially an asshole he was being, and she wasn't having none of it. And like all stories go, they ended up getting into a big screaming match, argument, just embarrassing time. Security got called in, and they both got escorted their separate ways, which was probably a good thing, because they were both not on our planet at this time. And like I say, just wandering around the pool drunk. I mean, it was quite fun. When I look back on it, it was quite a fun experience, because they were just they were the two people that you said, man, if I want to party, I want to party with them, because they were just unchained, crazy, having the time of their life, telling jokes, just going on. That same day, probably within 30 minutes of the drunk people getting removed and having been asked to go somewhere else, and this is where I was getting to earlier, this pool was down on the top deck, but it had kind of a round top on the ship. I for the life of me, it kind of reminds me of the Royal Caribbean. The Liberty of the Seas has the round top up there, which is one of their nightclubs that overlooks all the ocean from a rounded view. Well, the Carnival Ecstasy kind of has the same thing, as I recall, but it was rooms, and I'm guessing these were different or special kinds of suites up there, because they were rounded. The curtains kind of went around. Well, as we're sitting in the pools getting our own drink on, I believe I look up, or somebody in our group looks up and goes, my God, look at that. There was a little boy, probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. He was young. Up in the window, dancing. And by I mean dancing, he's dancing naked. He is just shaking his butt and dancing up there, and he's in the window for everybody on the pool deck to see. Now, this quickly takes off, because everybody starts pointing and start looking. And he is just dancing. He's rubbing his butt on the window, and he's turning around and rubbing his other stuff on the window, and just dancing and carrying on, having a good time. And then you see this hand reach into the curtains and grabs him out of there. So the show kind of ended, and you give it about 15-20 seconds later, he is back in the window dancing. He is just dancing, and he is just as naked as he can be up there dancing in the window. And this probably went on for 15 minutes. I don't know what his parents were doing. If you're his parents, sorry, we're telling the story about your son. He made everybody's day on the ship that day, because we were all out there. We're about 10 drinks in, and he is just dancing and entertaining us all, because he is naked as he can be, and he is dancing, shaking everything he's got. Just it had to be his favorite song, because he was grooving, moving and grooving right in the window on the very top deck. And then, like I say, these suites on the Ecstasy were probably 2 floors higher maybe than the pool deck, so it was up in the air. It was like he had the main stage, and everybody was watching him. It was hilarious. It was a sight to be seen. uh, and I don't do the story justice. I'm not a storyteller, but he was just rubbing his little butt all in the window to the groove of some kind of song. I don't know what it was, but still to this day, one of the funniest experiences I've seen on a Carnival cruise ship was this little boy just dancing up in that window, just carrying on. God, we laughed and laughed and laughed at that for hours after that, and probably the 15 drinks we had made it even that much funnier. But again, that was on the Carnival Ecstasy. So our first cruise was really a great cruise. I hate to hear that the Carnival Ecstasy is ending her run with Carnival today. Probably already. It's 8:46. She's supposed to be back in Mobile, I believe, at probably 6-7 o'clock in the morning. So probably already disembarking and getting her final stages of her life together, as she'll be heading off to the scrapyard for early November start to the dismantling. I believe they said the captain that had spoken in the other video I was watching actually said that it was going to be a first experience for him. He's going to get to Beecher, which is where they just basically run it aground, so that they can start sawing it. I don't know if you've ever seen them scrap at a cruise ship. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about it, but it just looks like they take a big huge straight saw and they just start sawing sections apart till they get down to nothing. I'm guessing I'm guessing, I've seen the video, they start at the front of the ship and just keep going. I'm sure they have days and weeks and months that they probably offload everything that they think they can reuse, or that, you know, would get caught up into something that don't need to be. I'm not sure how they do the engines. That would be a cool thing to figure out. I'm sure they drain all the oils and everything. I don't know if they just saw them up with the rest of the ship for scrap, or how that works. If they dismantle what they can, I'm going to have to try to look for that. That's pretty interesting. I would like to see that, what they actually do. But I know I've seen on the one video, they just have a giant saw and it just saws section by section by section by section of the ship in two. They pull it off and start cutting it up. So it's quite a long process, but it is the end for the Carnival Ecstasy in that way. So kind of a sad day for me in particular, with that being my first cruise. So anyway, guys, love sharing the story with you. Like I said, I'm not a storyteller, so I didn't do it justice, but that little boy in the window made that first cruise so incredible. My friend that went also, I put a video up of him, probably one of my longest running videos on my personal page, of him singing karaoke in the karaoke bar. Again, it seemed like things just were better on that first cruise. They had karaoke on that ship every night somewhere, and people just followed it, and there was huge crowds, and it was a really good time. But it was kind of funny. He was pretty well on his way, and he got up and sang. I think he sang karaoke every night. It got to be when we were getting on the hotels and stuff, people were going, "Hey, you're Mr. Jim," you know, and they would, it made his day that people actually noticed him, because we're not going to say he's going to leave his current career for a singing career, but he is a pretty funny dude. So I think he was telling some jokes there too. I know at one point he did tell a joke in the comedy room. He got up on stage and started telling a joke, and they did ask him to get down because he wasn't the actual comedian scheduled. But he, I don't know if I can tell this on YouTube. He did have the comedians like to pick on people, and for whatever reason, we were in the first row. So the comedians were, I don't know, they must have asked, had anybody been divorced? And he put his hand up, or I don't know how it worked. He got picked, let me put it that way. And I was trying to figure out how to clean this one up. Anyway, the comedian asked anybody to have been divorced, I guess. And I guess he asked something to do with the nature of anybody been remarried. And he actually said that, yes, he got divorced and then turned around and married the same woman. So he's married the same woman twice. And the comedian more or less said, why in the hell would you do that? And he said, how do I clean this up? I like what that mouth do. So it was quite the funny experience. Like I say, that first cruise we took was just one of the best experiences ever. I mean, it was a small cruise ship, not near as much to do as there is today on today's cruise ships, but just the people and the first time experience made it a blast. So sorry this video ran a little long, just kind of a sentimental day with that cruise ship being taken out of production today. So I wanted to share a few stories from that ship. I mean, I have to say that's one of the best cruises we've had. I mean, we ended up in Cozumel. We actually went to Senor Frogs for the day and had a really good time there. Ate some lunch, and I don't know if anybody's been to Senor Frogs. They are all about drinking. So there's drinking games, and that's pretty much what Senor Frogs is. If you want to eat some lunch, and then we're going to play some drinking games. So all in all, a good cruise. We went to Progreso. I think we just hung out on the beach and got some massages. I believe the people we went with actually had excursions planned. Me and Laura did not do any excursions. We just went to the beach in Progreso and hung out on the beach. Laura wanted to wander through town, which was quite the experience for a first-timer to Mexico, and not knowing what to expect and not thinking wandering around town looking for vanilla was the greatest idea in the world. But anyway, it all in all was a great experience. We had a lot of fun. So anyway, hey, please like and share. I'm gonna tell you some more stories, and we're gonna have some more valuable news going forward. So have a good one. Boy.